Good evening and welcome to the New Ulm League of Women Voters Candidate Forum. Tonight we're featuring the candidates for candidate for New Ulm City Council Ward 1 and Minnesota Senate District 16. My name is Linda Heine. I'm a member of the New Ulm League of Women Voters, and I am moderating tonight for the two panels. The League of Women Voters is a local, state, and national nonpartisan group. We encourage informed and active participation of citizens in government, and we influence public policy through education and advocacy. Tonight's event is designed to create opportunities for the voters to become educated about the candidates for these two seats and discuss their relevant views. Tonight's candidates will answer questions presented from audience members and members of the League of Women Voters pursuant to our nonpartisan, unbiased, and impartial format, which has been established by the League of Women Voters of Minnesota. Our purpose is to facilitate an opportunity to hear the candidates discuss the issues of importance to the public in this election. We are broadcasting live tonight on New Ulm Community Access Television, YouTube, and KNUJ Radio. We have several questions that were submitted by members of the public via email, and the email address was lwvnewulm@lwvmn.org. We will continue to accept questions during the format via email as well as by telephone. Our phone numbers are 507-276-6140 and 507-766-3527. I'll repeat those numbers again in a bit, and if you are watching us on television or YouTube, I believe that information is on your screen. Each of the candidates has been given 2 questions in advance, which were drafted by the League here in New Ulm. All other questions will come from the public. We do screen the questions that we receive. Our purpose in screening the questions is to make sure that we are attempting to meet the needs of the person who's asking the question, but we will rephrase. We'll combine questions or eliminate questions to avoid duplications. We do not ask questions that are of a personal nature and not relevant to the office, or questions that are designed only to make a statement rather than solicit information. Often we receive many more questions than we have time to submit. So if you submit a question that is not asked tonight, please do contact the candidate after the forum to get the information that you're looking for. We'll start first with our Ward 1 New Ulm City Council race, and then at approximately 7 o'clock, we'll proceed with the forum for Senate District 16. The procedure that we'll follow will be as follows. Each candidate will introduce themselves with a short statement. They'll have a minute and a half for that. Upon completion of their introductions or opening remarks, each candidate will be given 2 minutes to respond to each of the questions that I will read. I usually stagger the order of questioning so that the candidates each have different opportunities, whether they start or finish the round. Candidates will each have an opportunity to offer a 1-minute rebuttal to 2 of the questions. Candidates will also have 1 minute at the end to provide a closing statement. We have official timekeepers here tonight who will mark the time. We look forward to a respectful learning experience, and always our candidates for the New Ulm League of Women Voter Forums follow the time constraints very well. So we will start now with the candidates, one candidate for New Ulm City Council Ward 1, and maybe just for educational purposes, I'll share that Dave Christensen is filed for this seat. A second candidate also filed for this seat, but he has announced publicly through a press release that he has withdrawing his candidacy. The reason that it is important maybe to note that to the public, however, is that the other candidate, whose name is Chad Corman, I believe his name will appear on the ballot, and so you need to be aware of that when you go to the polls, that Mr. Corman has withdrawn. So first, let's start, Mr. Christensen, with your opening statement.
First, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting me to the forum this evening, and I do want to touch a little bit on, this is kind of unique this evening. I'm the only candidate here for Ward 1, but I will admire Chad Corman. He actually notified me before he did his press release that he would be dropping out of the race for the candidacy. The reasons that he gave me, and I have to admire him for that, he had a career change realized if he was elected to the position, he wouldn't be able to give the time or energy, which it does take. And I admire him for that, and I wish him good luck on his new career.
We should proceed. We just have a few questions for you since you're here. Thank you. We have the two questions that we asked you. The first question is, do you have any personal weaknesses or challenges which affect your ability to serve as city council, serve this on the city council? And if so, what do you do to counteract those weaknesses or meet those challenges?
The personality issue, I think I do have covered, and I did have to think a while about the challenges. One of the challenges I had when I my first year in being a counselor, learn to listen to people. Don't do a snap judgment, do some research, and that has helped me a lot. I actually have to thank one of our past city attorneys, Hugh Nierengarden, who would sometimes look at me, Dave, don't say it, think about it before you speak. But I've learned a lot from that, listening to people, listen to what your ward wants, listen to what the citizens of New Ulm want. It does work. Don't just make the snap judgment or be bold on it. Listen to what they have to say.
Okay, thank you. The second question we provided in advance is, what steps are needed that you feel the city council can take to improve the vibrancy of our downtown?
Good question. I mean, if you talk to a lot of like elderly people, young people in New Ulm, automatically they don't think taxpayers' money should be pumped into just downtown New Ulm. So the city of New Ulm, the Downtown Action Team, the CVB, they've been working on numerous opportunities to change that. One of them was a RETHO study that was done last year in July. A company came down to New Ulm. I do want to mention it was funded by the Minnesota State Historical Society and our New Ulm Area Foundation. A ton of information was gathered. What do our citizens want downtown? What changes do they want to see? Some of those things are being worked on already. The Downtown Action Team came up with some grants. If you notice that the benches downtown, the picnic tables, some of the historic signage that's on there, I do see a lot of people using that, meaning some people are actually coming downtown for that reason. About a week ago, the present city council, finally we were handed what's called a community engagement policy. It hasn't even been formally adopted yet in New Ulm. It probably will be at the next council meeting or after that. And what it entails is it's going to be an 11-page policy. Who, what, where, why, when do we want to involve the community, the stakeholders, the businesses, the youth groups, the senior citizens, organizations, have a forum, get their input before it comes to city council. I've been waiting a while with that. Mr. Dalton did a great job putting it together. I think that's going to be a huge asset for downtown. I mean, I realize the policy that the League of Minnesota Women Voters have. I have the policy with me this evening. It's turned upside down, so I can't reference it. But it's got a ton of ideas in there. What can we do for downtown? Some of it will be up to the chamber. Some will be up to the city of New Ulm. Some of it will be up to the actual tenant that's in the building. Some will be up. I got told to stop.
Time limits.
Okay.
Time limits. Rules.
Finish your sentence.
Anyway, I would like one more comment. Some of these items, like this resource study, is available over at the Chamber of Commerce. If you're interested, pick it up. It's a ton of information.
Thank you. All right, so those were the two questions that we sent you before the forum. We have also received a couple of questions from the public. The first one is regarding the city council meetings. I know the city council used to meet at maybe 6 or 6:30.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, okay. Well, currently they meet at 4:30, and the question is whether you would consider recommending to move the council meeting back later again to allow the public a better opportunity to see and attend meetings, 4:30 being maybe an inconvenient time for many people getting off work and such to be able to tune in.
I mean, that question could be forwarded to the city manager now to be brought up on an agenda item, or do you wait until the election is done? We're going to have a new president. Whoever wins it, there'll be a new appointed. If one wins, there'll be a new seat opens up, will be appointed. But I have heard that in the past from people that the changing it from the 7 to 4:30, even if we made 6 o'clock, would be more user-friendly for people to get here. But it is something that can I mean, if they would like, I would bring up the manager or city manager, put it on the agenda. Do we want to reopen that and discuss a new time frame?
Sure. The next question, which so far appears to be the final question, we'll see if someone brings me something. Would you explain the views on the police riot gear that came up, I think, this week?
You know, actually, when I did receive a couple of phone calls on it first, I believe it was actually worded wrong to the general public. In fact, when I came in, my predecessor, Ruth Ann Webster, was sitting there, and I kidded her, and I said, Ruth Ann, I remember 4 years ago you told me before you do a snap judgment, research it. So, got a hold of some other police departments, got to have a personal sit-down with the chief of police in New Ulm. It really wasn't riot gear what the people thought. The bullets, the flash bombs, tear gas, that type of thing. I mean, if you did read through the agenda item, you know, it was replacing old wore-out tasers, which I was actually under the assumption our police department had, the new tasers. A lot of it was the protective, personal protective gear, tactical gear. I mean, it really wasn't your death batons they were going to buy, you know, the big polyglass shields. It was needed items for the police department. I just think the public was misinformed when it read riot gear. It should have read new personal protective equipment, tactical gear, replacement of tasers.
Sure.
I mean, that changed my mind on it. Like, no, they need this equipment. It's not riot gear.
Okay. Okay, well, probably not surprisingly, we didn't get a lot of questions for your, for your raise. And so you can take the opportunity at this point to provide a closing remark if you'd like.
I've been a lifelong resident of the city of New Ulm. Most people know that. The only time I was gone, I'm an honorably discharged veteran from the United States Army. A lot of my experience came being employed with the city. I sat on the Planning Commission for 12 years. I was a liaison for the Board of Zoning Adjustment for 12 years, which has now been combined with the Planning Commission. I've sat on the Heritage Preservation Commission more years than I want to remember. I wish I could get a replacement for that. But they've also done a lot of good in New Ulm, the items they did for downtown here. That's very good. I'm a present member of the New Ulm Park and Recreation Commission for the last 4 years. I sit on the Downtown Action Team for 3 years. They're responsible for a lot of items being done in New Ulm. I'm a CVB member. I sit on that commission for the last 3 years. She's going to stop me again. And I don't have it. But I do. I thoroughly enjoy. I understand how the city government works. I could hit the ground running when I was elected, and I do want to serve at least one more term. We've got a lot of projects to go. Stop.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Christian. That concludes our forum for Ward 1. We will take a break now. We're not planning to start the Senate 16B forum until 7 p.m.
Sorry about that, but that's my job.
I understand completely.